Good morning. Our hand today is going to be Ace 8 of Hearts. In mid position, open raise to 3 big blinds. We've got open raising range that includes suited aces. At this table, I've got some pretty tight players behind me, so I wasn't too worried about my kicker here. I'm going to just try to play it, and then if I pick up the blinds, I pick up the blinds. I didn't. Button called, and we see a flop. I only have 12 hands with the button, so it's a big unknown. Out of 12 hands, he's played 8%. So I just kind of put together a range, something like this, that I think in position players might play with. They might play with suited aces, maybe some of these suited broadways, some of these big offsuit hands, pocket pairs, suited connectors. I assume that he would have raised with jacks plus ace queen. Could have tightened it up and said queens plus ace king, since that's like a typical 3-betting range, but it's on the button. I had to go with something. All right, so flop comes out 8 high, 8-6-4 with 2 spades. Definitely, I think this is going to be a little bit hidden. We do hit it with our kicker, and we've got a solid kicker. I chose to bet here. Not sure if that's correct. I almost feel like it is. Our hand is a bit vulnerable to overcards. We don't want to give a free card and have like a 9, 10, jack, or queen come out, and then kind of be in a tough situation of, basically allowing button to realize his equity on that. So I fire it out a c-bet and I get raised, and I think that's an interesting raise because who can raise here? I think an 8 can raise. I think 8-9 can raise. 8-7 can raise. I even think a 6 can raise. I mean, if you think about all the hands, this board doesn't really hit my hand much. It hits the caller's range much better. So at this, when he raises, I went ahead and called because I have top pair. I've got top kicker. I think it would be too tight to fold here. Turn came out a king, and that should be a great card for me. So here I let into him, and again, I'm not sure if this is the right play. I let into him because he's got 44.5, and I almost feel like he could just go ahead and shove here. And I thought, well, let's see if I could freeze him a little. Bet half pot. If he calls, kind of tells me that he probably has an 8. He's scared of that king. We could probably just check it down after that. He came over the top and shoved all in, and I think at this point I have to assume that I'm beat. That he probably had, is better than an 8. Maybe like 9s, 10s, jacks. Maybe not afraid of the king. Possibly something stronger. Maybe trips. Maybe trip 8s, trip 6s, trip 4s. Who knows? But I folded this hand, so I want to see what GTO tells us to do. So here it is. We start here, and we are kind of playing a mixed strategy. Ace 8 suited, you can see, is a bet. We're betting most of our hands here. Ace queen, ace jack can be a check. Bet more if we have the spades or the clubs. Check if we don't. So I think we're checking some pretty solid hands up here. And that's probably, and I think that's to kind of protect some of our other weaker hands here, the draws, the 2s and 3s. Not like we're gonna go too far with 2s and 3s or ace 2 or ace 3, but we do have some checks. So I think if we check and he bets, we're calling those. Well, not necessarily. A small percentage of time we're calling with ace queen with diamonds and hearts. Yeah, that's only clubs and spades. Only clubs and spades is what we're going for. So I did bet. I bet, and villain should be raising here with 8s, 6s, 4s, maybe ace 5, ace 7 if he's on the spade draw, which he could have had. He could be on the spade draw. I was just trying to get all in, but then I kind of feel like on my turn when I led out, why didn't he just call at that point if he's on the draw? So he raised. Now it's back on me. Good to see that we're raising here with tens, jacks, 8-7. So top pair with the gut shot kicker. Middle pair with the gut shot, trip sixes, ace three. These are the nut flushes that we could raise. Nut flush with our gut shots. So we are being aggressive with our draws. With some of our overpairs. Aces, kings, queens, we're calling. We choose to call instead of raise. But nines, if we have the spade, we can raise. If we don't have the spade, then we tend to fold. Calling is appropriate here. So you can see ace 8 is calling, 9-8 is calling, 9-7 is calling, trip 8 is calling. All right, so we made the call, and then GTO says we should be checking here 100%. So I'm gonna say if we check and he bets 2/3. That's about 2/3 pot, let's say. He has a pretty tight range here. If he bets, then looks like we are somewhat raising here. We're raising him all in. 44.5. Yeah, that would be all in. So if he bet 22, we would just be raising him all in. And we've got 3 of a kinds, over pairs, top pairs. Okay, so I'm kind of seeing it on this hand. I think our c-bet's okay, but then leading that turn was bad. We should have been the one that would have check raised. So we would have gone check. If he bets, then we raise with our top pair. We're raising with spade draws. We're raising with over pairs, aces and kings. Looks like jacks, tens, and nines are going to fold. That almost seems a little too weak. But in terms of what his range is, he's going to be betting with a lot of trips here. 4, 6, 8. He's got some 8-7, some ace-5. He's going to have small percentage of nines, but he'll have more tens. Along with the kings. Okay. But kings should be checking. I have a small percentage that they bet. Not sure why these hands fold. I think it's under the assumption that king is going to cause villain to freeze. And again, we don't know how he's playing to judge that. So at least on this hand, I think c-bet was fine. Our turn bet was not. We should have checked. Saw what happened. If villain raises, then we go ahead. Or if villain bets, we go ahead and check raise at that point. What if it was a different card? So that was the king of hearts. What if it was, let's say, jack of hearts? Something a little bit lower. We do have donk range, but still 8. We're going to check here. Let's say villain bets again, and it looks like we still raise here with some of our 8s. Now with ace 8 of hearts, which is what we had, ace 8 of hearts could be a little bit more fold. Jacks definitely not as good for our range as the king was. Let's change it. We're going to do ace of diamonds here. Yeah, ace of diamonds, definitely we bet. King of diamonds, we're looking at betting. Queen of diamonds. Yeah, so queen of diamonds, we are looking at, and I think this would be the equivalent for the hearts as well. We're raising with the clubs, but mostly folding. I mean, that's 52 to 33. 80%, so maybe like 40, 60% fold, 40% raise here. And I bet it's going to even get worse. So if we go 10 and he bets, now it becomes a fold. And I bet it, and 9 is also fold here. Do you have some bets here? King 10s. Oh, spade draw and the straight. So we check, he bets. Yep. So really, the king was a good card. Queen too, we could have gone with. Ace was actually perfect card. Let's say this was a 7 hearts. I think 7 hearts kind of puts us in a rough spot. I don't think we could actually call here with 7 hearts. I think at that point we're calling. We're going to look for hands to call with to have the spades and the straight draws, or something premium. I mean, even 8s and 6s and 4s is good, but we have to be scared of that lone 5. 6, say 6 of hearts. 6 of hearts. Now, hold on. Did we have? We did 7 of hearts. We were still checking 100% of the time. Let's go 8 of hearts, where we hit trips. We are mostly checking now. And if he bets, then we're coming over the top with our 8s. 7 6s was what was kind of interesting. So when the 6 of hearts comes now, we paired the middle board, or the middle card on the board. Now we do lead. So is this going to be the same for all of our little cards? Where we have top pair, top kicker. I don't know. Let's see this. So if we go 5 of hearts here, no, it's check. 4 of hearts. We're betting. So 6s and 4s, and I bet 3 and 2 we're going to be checking. 3 checks, 2 checks. And if we check, they bet, we're calling on all of those. Right? Check, he bets, we're calling on the 8s. So the 6 and the 4 are special, that we could lead in with those, but those are about the only cards that we could do that we would do that with. Unfortunately, we don't get to see what villain did this with. Kind of get an idea of was his range accurate? Because again, these plays are against the villain that has this range, and this is probably a decent range against an unknown. Really, I mean, versus a much looser opponent, we're probably playing something similar, similar fashion. Probably checking the turn and going for a check raise. So that was definitely a mistake, and I made the mistake. I thought, with that king, that's a scare card. I'm gonna bet here, try to freeze him, but perhaps a better play was to let him bluff and then come over the top. If he calls, he could be calling with a lot of draws. Whereas if I lead here, he could have just called with the draws and folded the river bet. So probably our EV would be higher by executing the check raise than it is to just go ahead and lead. All right, hopefully you enjoy this hand. If you do, look tomorrow for another.